Welcome in, SJHL fans across the continent and the world, if I'm being honest. I'm Clark Munroe, your host of SJHL Weekly. It is episode 3, and we are excited to bring you another great episode with a ton of great stuff coming up, including a busy Thursday through Sunday stretch. We got to go over a lot of games. We'll look ahead to the week ahead. There's a lot of games coming up, including some midweek games, which have been a little bit on the lower end so far this season. And we're going to be joined by Jackson Allan, who is the captain of the Battlefords North Stars, which should be a great chat. Always good talking with Jackson. He's been in the league now for, it seems like, forever. So excited to talk to him. And we're going to announce Players of the Week later as well. So lots going on in this episode, but we want to get right to it. But before we do that, we got to thank our sponsors. So thank you to Cantera Seeds, big sponsor there. Love those guys. Borgo, Capital Auto Mall, SGU, Sask Lotteries, UPL, which presents our broadcast, of course. Chevrolet, which is the official vehicle sponsor of the SJHL. Great Western, Nutrien, RBC, and Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association. And as I say that, we now need to bring in the stars of the show, Rory McGouran and Jamie Neugebauer. Guys, welcome in. Excited to have you here. Rory, I'm going to start with you. You had 3 games in the last 3 days. How are you?
I'm doing very well.
Yeah.
It was a solid 3 games starting and finishing in less than 48 hours because of a 3 p.m. game on Sunday. Even woke up at 7:30 to watch my girlfriend's favorite team, the New York Jets, who, you know, a bit of a dumpster fire there with the start, but that was a 7:30 game against Nuge's Minnesota Vikings, and the Vikings are not. They are 5-0. So, yeah, it was a great weekend. There's a lot of hockey, a lot of fun, a lot of hanging out, and, but Broncos 5 out of 6 points.
Yeah, exactly. Big weekend. We'll get to that for sure. Jamie, how was your weekend? You didn't have any games really to worry about.
Yeah, the Vikings won. I was going to have 2 soccer games to call. Only had 1 broadcast because if you were in Saskatchewan, which I assume you are on Saturday, the weather was interesting. The wind was insane. So I didn't have a broadcast even though the U of R women's soccer team did win that game, and then I called the game on Sunday. So that was a lot of fun. I love calling women's soccer. I love calling soccer. I just love soccer. And I do want to use that opportunity to divert your attention to Rory's jersey, which is really beautiful.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, Irish national team, mid-2000s. That is a beautiful jersey.
Rory actually played on the team. Funny. we don't talk about
Rory's
that.
Rory's way older than you think, folks.
I was 11.
Rory McGouran.
He was a prodigy.
Rory was 11. Just a wild soccer career for this guy. We just don't talk about that enough. But before we get started on all the topics today, just want to give a quick shout out to all of our social media channels. So if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter Live, please hit the like button, hit the share button, hit retweet, do all the engagements. We want to hear from you in the comments. We will read your comments throughout the show, so make sure you guys do that. Comment in on Facebook and YouTube specifically, and let us know what you want to talk about, because, you know, there's every once in a while somebody will ask a really good question and we'll just talk about it for a while. So send in your questions, send in your comments. If you're at the games, let us know what you thought about the games. Talk about the players of the week throughout the show as we go. So let us know. We want to hear from you. We do have 4 days of games that we want to talk about starting on Thursday. So let's do that now. Let's look at Thursday's game. And this is an important one because the Notre Dame Hounds got their first win of the season against the Nipawin Hawks. It was a shutout for Spencer Borsos, and we'll talk about that in a little while here, but a great game for Notre Dame. As we move into Friday, there's 5 games on the menu. Nipawin got their first win of the season in the Battle of the Black and Golds as the 5-4 win in overtime. Flin Flon defeated Weyburn. Weyburn still was, at this point, looking for their first win of the season. So Flin Flon didn't allow them to get that, but they got the 4-2 win. Battlefords got their first win in a home. It wasn't even a home and home. It was 2 home games for Battlefords. So they got their first win against Larange 4-2. Kindersley snuck one out over the Humboldt Broncos 3-2 in overtime. And Melville, in the battle of the Mells, and the top teams in the league at this point on Friday, Melville did defeat Melfort 3-1. And then as we go to Saturday, a lot of these teams played against each other or a combination of themselves on Saturday as well. Estevan got their first win of the season against a very tough Flin Flon Bombers team in that rivalry, and that rivalry is not going away anytime soon, guys. Humboldt beat Kindersley 4-1. Melfort got revenge on Melville 4-3 in overtime. Weyburn got their first win of the year with a 6-2 win over Nipawin. Big win for them. And Battlefords again got another win over Larange in the back-to-back wins against the Ice Wolves with a 4-3 win. And then on Sunday there was one more game, and Humboldt came out to play, and they played hard for a 7-4 victory for Yorkton's first regulation loss of the season. So guys, 4 big days, a lot of games going on. And we're going to bring up the weekend headlines. Austin Cardell just chime in really quick.
Thank you, buddy.
And Rory's just breaking fashion barriers on this show. Setting new trends. You know, he's a trendsetter.
He's a fashionista.
Austin's also the sweetest guy ever. He's very, very kind.
Until you're at the Whitney and your team is facing the Bombers.
And the Bombers lose.
But just for that little period of time, he hates your guts.
That's right.
Before and after, which is most of the time, he's the sweetest guy.
Yeah. And Austin doesn't ever hate me because I'm a neutral. I'm Switzerland in this.
Yeah.
You are.
So I'm good. But let's look at the headlines here, and we're going to start with what I said just a minute ago here, the Mels. It was a battle of the two top teams in the league, at least on paper, at least on the standings. Melville and Melfort, they kind of split the weekend, so to speak, but a couple of really great games, guys, and these teams duked it out for league supremacy. Nugsy, maybe I'll start with you. What did you think of these two games over the weekend?
Yeah, two well-built teams, not a lot to take between them, whether it's statistically, whether it's on the scoreboard. In all the categories, I think they're pretty even. But Rory, instead of just kind of going through who scored and whatever, you wanted to break it down in a bit of a different way because we could just talk about who scored and blah, blah, blah. But I think it'd be fun to kind of zero in on it.
Yeah, and when you look at the standings, now we're in a point of the season where no team is undefeated and no team is winless. Everyone is in a win column and in the loss column. But would you consider, with all the intangibles, all the categories weighing in, right now, are Melville and Melfort the two best teams in the SJHL? And that's what the question we have to start with. Would you say yes or no?
Yes.
And would you say yes or no?
I would say yes with a big Yorkton Terrier-sized asterisk, but that being said, the Yorkton Terriers have actually given up a lot of scoring opportunities against, so these two teams are maybe the most complete teams right now, so say yes with an asterisk.
So while everyone watches the highlights, and I like the way that I've seen, championship games get broken down. When you're only pairing two teams against each other, of course, that is this segment, the Mels, and they didn't play in the Mel Hagland Arena, but that would have been cool. We would have had a three-peat. But let's break it down in kind of categories. So we did forwards, defense, goaltending, special teams, coaching, and experience. Starting with the forwards, would you weigh that the Melville Millionaires or the Melfort Mustangs have the better forward group?
I would say that, that's tough. I'm actually going to give it a tie.
Okay.
And I'm going to say it's a tie because I think Melville has the more explosive guys at the top. You think about Caden Drury and Ryan Rothke, the two top leading scorers in the SJHL. But that being said, the Melfort Mustangs, all four lines are very, very equal. So I call it a tie. What about you?
I had it as the Melville Millionaires. I know some of the goals have been attributed to defensemen as well, but because they have those two top guys, Drury and Rothke, and because they've scored 8 more goals than the Melfort Mustangs, I have it as the Melville Millionaires take the break in the forwards. Defensively, I have it, this is as close as you can get to. They're both very experienced with 5 out of 6 experienced defensemen. But I slightly lean towards Melfort and Trevor Blevin's crew in the defense. Nick Andrusiak with that experience, and everyone coming in for Melfort has championship experience. Ty Thornton, Bo Eisner, Cole Unger, Danton Cox, whether he's up or down. I took defense, Melfort.
Yeah, I agree. The opposition's expected goals weighted every game so far this year for Melfort has been sort of between 1.5 and 2.5 against per game. It's a great recipe for success. Obviously, that's a whole team identity thing. That's goaltending. But yeah, I think with all that experience going deep in the playoffs Centennial Cup, you got to give it to Melfort.
Okay, so right now, goaltending, when you look at the split, you got Nick Jeanette, who's played 2 games, Taylor Tabishnuk, who's played 1 game, both of them under 2 goals against, both of them over 920 save percentage. Christian Coombs has played 4 out of the Melfort Mustangs games with a 939 save percentage and a 181 goals against average. This one also could be a tie, but goaltending, and I know we're only 7 games in, but it's a fun way to break down this series. Who do you kind of give the edge goaltending to?
Man, I know I keep being boring here, but I'm going to go tie again. And with actually, if there's a tiny edge, I'm giving it to Melville because I know he hasn't played a lot. People haven't seen him a lot. But Nick Jeanette was one of the, if not the best AAA caliber U18 goaltenders in America last year. He won the national championship with Victory Honda. He is really talented. The only reason that he's not a little bit higher touted is because he's not that big. That's the only thing. But obviously, again, you can't take anything away from the Melfort boys. So I'm going to give a slight to Melville, actually.
Slight to Melville. I also wrote down the Mills. Special teams now. I guess we can start with Clark, right? Again, Nugsy has the numbers on it. It's crazy because I said Mills forwards, Melfort defense, Mills goaltending. You said Melfort forwards, Mills, these are the same thing as me, but they could go either way, if that's what you thought, Clark, or you give ties right across the board. Special teams, Nugsy, before Clark answers, they're 1.5% off when you combine the two.
Yeah, not a big difference. And again, I know we have a coaching category, so we'll get to that in a second. But obviously, these two teams work very, very hard on their systems and how they work things. And there's a clear identity for sure with that Melfort power play. We've all seen that time and again. That works very well. Again, tie 114 to 111 in terms of if you add power play PK together for the two teams, and that's pretty negligible. So
yeah, they both have really high numbers, obviously. It seems like you guys forgot, though, I just have to say this. Team Clark / Team Moneymen goalie Christian Coombs. Clearly, Melfort has the better goaltending.
Clearly.
But I also, half my team is Melville as well. I have a lot of Melville and Melfort guys in this race. So I'm just happy that both teams are having fun.
It wasn't a bad way to go.
Yeah. But honestly, power play, the reason I'm going to say Melville, I think, and now I see the numbers in front of me, so I'm kind of cheating, but not even just the percentages. I just think they're coming back with so much experience and firepower with returning guys. So I would say Melville for power play, and I just think, Melfort's identity on the penalty kill maybe give them a slight edge there.
Coaching, you're picking straws. Well,
coaching.
Do you want to draft between Trevor Blevins and Doug Johnson?
A+ and A+.
No. It's a tie.
Yeah.
Right? An unarguable tie. And experience, it's the one kicker that I think is the obvious category that needs to go to the Melfort Mustangs.
Yeah, but that all being said, the intangibles in the heart of this Melville team are also so off the charts. But yeah, again, we've seen Melfort do it. We have to say Melfort. So.
And look, it doesn't matter if they're in either building. It doesn't matter what type of game the opposition is bringing up. These are the two teams in the SJHL that I think stick to their systems no matter what is happening at any moment of the game. They don't let leads deter them from the opposition. They don't let getting ahead get too high. They stick to what they know. They win on the road. They win at home. And that's why I think right now they are the best two teams in the league. And I just thought it was really fun to kind of break it down into categories.
Yeah, and I think another kind of factor too, and I always look at this, is the goal differential is a big deal for me. And with Melfort and Melville, they're the two lowest goals against in the league. They just don't give up many goals. They're very strong. You guys mentioned it, but they're very strong defensively as a team, both of them. And, Doug Johnson and Trevor Blevins' teams have been that for such a long time. But, yeah, I just look at that as, you see Yorkton. Yeah, you know what? They've outscored their problems a lot this year. If they've had problems, they've outscored them for a lot of it.
Potent.
But Humboldt, for example, on Sunday, maybe exposed a little bit of something. So, and we'll talk about that in a sec. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here, but let's actually go to that. Let's go to Humboldt now, if you guys don't mind. Let's bring up the headlines again. Ain't no rest for the wicked is our second topic. And of course, this is Humboldt playing 3 games in 3 nights and Flin Flon playing 4 games in 5 nights. And they came out okay. Rory, let's start with the Humboldt Broncos, though. 3 games in 3 nights, like I mentioned. They came off Sunday with a big win over Yorkton to give Yorkton their first regulation loss of the season. But what did you see from the Broncos over the 3 games?
Yeah, so, if people caught that glimpse of the topics, our third one's confused identity. And the reason that was going to be in there is because I saw how Humboldt played on Friday, and I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know who they were. I'm like, we need to have something talking about identity of the teams. But then they came out on Saturday, beat the Clippers 4-1. They came out on Sunday, beat the Yorkton Terriers 7-4. And then I saw what was supposed to be of the Humboldt Broncos. So we moved them out of identity and into Ain't No Rest for the Wicked because they played 3 games from start to finish in actually 46 hours. They finished that stretch on the road against an undefeated team, defeated them 7-4, and outshot them 43-20. The game 5-on-5 wasn't really that close. Yorkton scored 2 power play goals and a shorthanded goal, only 1 goal even strength. And how did the Broncos do it? It's because pretty hockey isn't always perfect. Simple hockey is sexy. That's what it is, and that's what the Broncos need to be. We're going to talk about some of the identity of the teams, the Flin Flon Bombers, the Kindersley Clippers, but what we saw in the second and the third game for the Humboldt Broncos, this has to be the Broncos to be effective. On Friday, I felt like you had 20 players thinking they were all first-line players when none of them are. Individualized, nothing clean, forcing everything. One guy chips, another guy skates through the middle, right? Like just off, kill, nothing clean at all. Then on Saturday, then on Sunday, It was everyone acting like second and third line players. It was smart, it was simple, it was effective. And I think that's what the Humboldt Broncos identity needs to be. They punished Kindersley, they punished Yorkton, and they did it by not doing anything flashy. All their goals were just hardworking goals, low to high, get it on net, get a body in front, hit a body in the corner, be the first on the puck, be difficult to play against, and just make the simple play. Like that. That's who they are. And I think with the turnover and with the coaching change, there were some early hurdles when they faced Kindersley and they faced Yorkton that were games that were just so outside of what they want to be that it was finally a wake-up call, because on Saturday and Sunday it was just simple hockey and it was beautiful hockey.
And Rory, how much, you kind of just mentioned it there at the end there, but how much of that do you think is now the Braden Klamosko effect coming into play in Humboldt? Just because, we've seen Battlefords for years be balanced teams with deep rosters. And I don't think you disagree with me by saying that Humboldt doesn't necessarily have a deep roster. Maybe they don't have any superstars.
I just feel they're all second, play like a second-line player. There's nothing wrong with that. Play like a team.
But do you think that that's partially Braden Klamosko's influence coming in and saying, you know what, guys, let's get your roles. Let's get our roles assigned. Let's get them determined. Let's get them figured out. And that's what happened on the weekend?
I think it takes a second to adjust to the changes, but I also want to give props to Braden Klamosko and to Carter Hansen, because you have a coach that was part of the old system. You have players that were part of the old system. So when you have two back-to-back games that you are honestly, and the coaching kind of was pretty disgusted at what the players were doing, that because it's not what they're preaching, to not go back to what was taught before and to just say, hey, this is what we're going to do, especially when you have someone that's been there before, you have players that have been there before, we're going to say, this is what we're going to do. We're going to stick with it. We need to try to buy into this, and then to see it really pay off in Saturday and Sunday. That's where the props lie. Yeah. We know that there's going to be a little bit of a changing moment and a curve that it'll take to adjust, but they did certainly in the last two games.
And you know what? Again, I don't know how many of the kids on the Broncos are students of history, but obviously recent history should say that when Braden Klamosko speaks, you should listen very carefully, because all that guy has done is won as a head coach in this league and gone further and gone over the hump in a way that the Humboldt Broncos as an organization, with no disrespect to anybody, because they've had great teams, but just haven't been able to get over that second round hump, which is, I know, a huge hump to get over. But Braden Klamosko preaching his ways, again, work in progress there. On the Yorkton side of things as well, I mean, Emery Lawson, very humble guy, very thoughtful guy. He knew that this day would come, that his team would need to learn some lessons. We've talked about how their roster was constructed, right, fellas? All these forwards who have experience. D, not so much. Will that affect them one day when the game is not as scrambly, not as disjointed, there's not turnovers, you're not taking advantage of transition, you have to win on the cycle, you have to win a little bit grittier? Emery Lawson is not panicking. There's no panic in Yorkton. There's
I was going to say, are we hitting the panic
button? No, not at all.
No.
And again, Yorkton is in the category just in terms of their talent level with Melfort and Melville, for me, as teams that are gonna be very good this year as well. There's a big group of teams, in my opinion, that are a block of teams. So I'm not even sure that I'm 100% comfortable saying the Mels are 2 and then everybody else. I think there's a big block. But that all being said, Yorkton is going to be a work in progress. They'll tinker. They'll figure it out too. But Braden Klamosko knows how to win.
You can't make mistakes against Yorkton. That's the biggest thing. Yeah. They will make you pay. They're the most fortuitous and opportunistic team. They know how to force you into mistakes, and they definitely know how to capitalize. Yeah. But the biggest thing I took away from this is playing games matters, right? The Broncos played one game the weekend prior. It was against the Yorkton Terriers. It was a bad game. They didn't play 7 days before that. They didn't play 7 days after it. Their first game was against Kindersley. It was a bad game. Players don't want to practice for 7 straight days and play once a week. Yeah. Yorkton played on Tuesday. They didn't play till Sunday. Yeah. They didn't come out ready. Broncos came out ready. Obviously, you knew through 60 minutes that third period would be tough for Humboldt. But they just came out and they dominated through the first 40 enough that they were able to cruise control throughout the last 20, which is why I understand there is some talks about, weekend games bring more attendance. It's going to bring, I think, worse hockey if we don't have a midweek game to have a buffer in there where players are playing more routinely. You need it.
I don't know if I agree with that.
You need it.
I don't agree with that.
I've seen some bad hockey when teams have been off.
I don't agree with that. I believe that practice is extremely important.
It's important, but you can't do it for 6 days in a row without games. But you don't learn it.
They do it in college, and D1 hockey is some of the best.
To add to that, though, Nugsy, too, remember last year, Flin Flon had a break going into the finals, and Melfort was coming off of that tough series against Humboldt and look what happened there. Melfort was on fire, ready
You
to go.
don't learn the same in practice as you do in a game.
Exactly.
I think you need that weekday game as
It's
a
that
buffer.
rest versus rust debate,
I think
right?
it's more about just how these rosters are constructed more than who played how many games.
That's fair,
honestly.
but it's that evergreen rest versus rust debate. We're never going to get over the rest versus rust debate. It always is applicable in almost every circumstance, and you guys are clearly on either sides of it. And I think that's been the case in the past as well when we've had this debate.
We'll fire it up early. I don't care.
okay.
It's
Just
good.
keep it going.
Good idea.
Nugsy, we talked about them a little bit. Flin Flon. Do we want to talk about Flin Flon a little bit here?
Yeah, I mean, there's a 4-5 swing. I talked to Mike Reagan before the game in Wilcox. He said his team needed this southern swing. They were getting a little bit cushy and comfortable, just hanging out in the north and not really going on a trip. So they moved a little bit earlier this time. And look, he said he's not that worried. Obviously, he wants his team to play great hockey. The fan base in Flin Flon is used to dominance 24/7, 365. And so anything that deviates from dominance is going to get them up in their heads. But, Mike also said that, hey, some of these kids, we're going to find out whether they are worth being Bombers or not. That's the thing. This is the first time in a long time, fellas, that we haven't been able to say that many definitive things about the Flin Flon Bombers. Like, usually we come into the season, we're like, well, this guy's a stud, and this guy's a stud, and this guy's a stud. We don't know that much about all of these guys still. I think he's trying to figure out his goaltending situation. When have you seen the Bombers go 4-5 and have 3 different goalies play in a 4-5?
No.
Like, that blows my mind too. And maybe Massimo Urbani is the answer. He looked terrific in Wilcox. He looked terrific against Weyburn. So maybe he's the answer, even though he's younger than most Flin Flon goalies would be. But yeah, they're trying to figure it out. They're trying to figure out their balance. They're quite top heavy. They got a few veterans at the top, and they got a whole swath of youngsters that Mike Reagan's trying to figure out who to keep. But yeah, it's an interesting situation. But Carter Anderson and Ryder Ringer and these guys can win a game any given night. Everybody knows that. So yeah, no need to worry.
Carter
if you're
Cormier
Flin
had
Flon
a couple
either.
goals over the weekend for Team Rory's fantasy team.
Yeah.
So I know Rory wasn't too upset about that.
Did we pick my fantasy name yet?
Yeah, I thought we did, didn't we?
We did, yeah. I just didn't know.
Are we gonna
graphics yet? It's finding Rory.
Finding Rory.
Finding Rory. Because
Little fish.
it's the just keep swimming mentality for Finding Rory. All right, just keep swimming.
There we go.
I know we're in last right now, but we got some players that are just going to put up.
Do you know that?
2 points.
Oh, I
here.
haven't seen the list.
2
Are you
points.
in last?
I'm pretty sure I know who you guys have. I think
We need to
that
update.
I don't have anyone in the top 10 of scoring, so I got to be probably down near the bottom. But it's a just keep swimming mentality. 2 points here, 1 point there, 3 points there. No injuries. Everyone contributes.
Overtime.
Look at the end of the year, and we found Rory.
Yeah.
Back-to-back champions.
You know what? Great segue, because you know what some teams found this weekend?
Identities.
I guess, shoot, I messed up. Because that's topic number 4. I was like, they found their first win.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet. But yeah, see, some teams haven't found yet is their identity. And, some of the teams around the league just maybe haven't quite found their footing, or maybe aren't sure exactly what kind of team they are yet. And that's early in the season, small sample sizes, but it is kind of apparent at this point. We're 6-7 games in for some teams. So guys, the Kindersley Clippers are one of these teams that we're just, let's figure these guys out. Nugsy, you want to start with Kindersley?
Yeah, well, I'll ask you guys, who on the team that's on the roster right now was involved with carrying the water, having leadership, carrying this team last year? Who on the team that's on their roster right now was in that role last year?
Well, I think,
Ethan Hilbig.
yeah, I was going to say, I think you can argue
Maybe.
some of the defensemen that were younger
Maybe.
last year
Well, yeah,
kind of got forced into that.
Certainly, and the like Kyler Smith, I just have a huge amount of respect for, obviously, and they have got guys who have lots of experience. But I'm saying, when the crunch time comes, they're going to have to figure out some of these roles and some of these situations, and some of these identities. And I think, again, it's a work in progress. We talked to Clayton Jardine a lot. I mentioned it in the preview about how the Clippers are trying to change their identity from last year in terms of kind of this running gun, exciting team that's going to play games that are 7-5 and be more structured and be more professional and be more consistent on that way. And, they're still trying to work on that. And, that will come with some results that you like and some results that you don't. But they've brought lots of guys in. And the last thing I'll say before handing it off is, and Rory, you got a closer look maybe at the goaltending, but they expected to have a rock and a veteran guy in Cody Jamin, who was one of those guys that you could have said, was on the team last year that was important in leadership and stirring the, the straw, stirring the drink. But he's not there right now.
No.
So they're trying to figure it out.
No, and I think they've done really well with the fact that Cody Jamin isn't there, and that is one of their leaders. Your goaltender doesn't have to wear a letter. He can be a leader. And I think Cody Jamin was. So props to the two goaltenders, especially Brett O'Halloran coming in. Nathan Clayton looked great. I know the Broncos beat him 4-1, but he was really, really good, and his numbers coming out of AAA are spectacular. So they might have two goalies that can really put it together. Clippers, I think, what I talked about the Humboldt Broncos, that also needs to really play for the Kindersley Clippers. You can't be trying to force everything being first line guys. You have to be able to all be second and third line guys and chip in, contribute, just systematically work and win 2-1 games, win 3-2 games, win 1-0 games, because that's, I think, how they're going to be successful. My big confused identity team, though, was the Flin Flon Bombers, and I know we kind of talked to them in their road stretch of games, and it's just a delayed fuse for me, guys. It's not like there's no bomb at all. It's just the fuse is very long. It started out outside the door, and you started it. Now you're waiting for it to trail inside, and eventually the bomb's going to go off. But it just hasn't yet. And let me just hit you with a couple stats, both kind of anomaly when we talk about the Flin Flon Bombers, and both why I think they're going to change. So first of all, Nugsy, they've been outscored 5-10 in first periods and playing behind the 8 ball because they've only scored the first goal in 3 out of 8 games. When have we ever seen that? 7 goals allowed per game, or sorry, 7th in the league in goals allowed per game. When have we seen that, right? Very, very rare. Not top 5 in either power play or penalty kill. You know where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
When have we seen that? It's just, there's a lot of things that have
We have a new game show.
Yeah, when have we seen that? There's a lot of things for the Bombers that it's just, it's weird because that's not who they usually are. Now, look, they have bring in Ryder Ringor, they brought in Carter Cormier, they brought in a few others. Is their chemistry lacking? Do they just got to figure it out? That southern swing, as you said, Mike Reagan, was good for them. But let's take a look at a couple other topics for the Flin Flon Bombers. Shot differential, it's Flin Flon Bomber style. They're out shooting their opponents plus 122 through their games already. So that's what they're known for. When the shot and shooting percentage goes up a bit, is it all going to change? They got 4 players already in the top 15 of scoring. That's what we're used to seeing for the Flin Flon Bombers. To me, it's just more about execution. It's tightening up all kind of the loose screws. And I think they're going to be fine because a lot of things are going right, but a lot of things, when you look at it, it's like, whoa, Flin Flon's a little different this year. Yeah,
and I think those metrics that you just mentioned there, Rory, I think they speak to the fact that they've got some very, very high-end forwards, and they're trying to figure it out on the back end and in net. And again, Mike Reagan will. Everybody wants to play for the Flin Flon Bombers. So yeah, just be patient, Flin Flon fans. I said it last week. Mike isn't worried. This is a different challenge from maybe the last decade, I'll say. But hey, lots of things to like. You're right.
Yeah, and I know you guys were talking about the Kindersley Clippers, for example, or the Humboldt Broncos too. Maybe it's the exact opposite problem for the Flin Flon Bombers, where the second line or third liner guys need to play like second line or third liners. Whereas Flin Flon, maybe they have just a lot of shooters. They have a lot of guys who want the puck, and maybe they just haven't found that balance yet. Rory, you had one more thing? Yeah,
well, for all 3 teams, and yes, you're 100% right, but it's the lost sock theory, right? Like, you lose one sock, the other sock doesn't work. You got to throw out the other sock. When it goes in the dryer spins all collectively, a sock falls out, you almost lose the whole wardrobe. The belt has to match the shoes, the shirt has to match the jacket.
I love this.
It is the lost sock theory works for hockey as well, because with one sock, you're just a mismatched, odd-looking thing, and you need to find the other sock, which is what a lot of these lost identity teams are trying to find. You need to find the other sock to make it a pair and make it work.
Got one sock, you're looking for the other. You got one sock,
when
you're
I lose
looking
a
for
sock
its
in the
brother.
dryer.
When I got one sock, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put that sock on my foot and stick it in my shoe. It's from a book that I read when I was a kid. So.
If I only find one sock in the dryer, right, I put it back in the dirty laundry, hoping that it's pair
You might eventually
recycle back in, and that's what they're trying to do. Just recycle. Let's try to see what works here. Let's try and find that lost sock.
You know what teams did find this weekend? Their first wins of the season. I found it. There we go. The last week we talked about the caged animals, guys. Well, those animals are now out of the cage. The Hounds, the Bruins, the Red Wings, and the Hawks all found their first wins this weekend, guys. Nugsy, maybe I'll start with you with the Hounds, who've got their first win on Thursday against Nipawin. It was a shutout victory, and then Nipawin ended up getting their first win not the next night, but the night after, or I'm confused. But they got their first win shortly after that. But maybe we talk about just the.
Well, they all beat each other on
they all
different
beat
days.
each
They all
other.
beat each other to get their wins. And
Notre Dame played Nipawin on Thursday, and then Nipawin went to Estevan and won on
Right, they got their win on Friday, and then Estevan got their win on Saturday, and then Weyburn also got their win on Saturday against Nipawin.
There you go. Rinse and repeat it. Look, I mean,
we're still on laundry.
Yeah, we're still on laundry, I guess. Well, first of all, for Notre Dame, I mean the addition of Vinny Palmerine. How do you quantify that? Like, Brett and I looked at each other in the coach's office after the Nipawin game, and we said, how did he not make it where he was? I'm not going to say the name of the place where he was, but he looks unbelievable. Added to a decor that honestly I already liked, and Spencer Borsos I think has really figured it out. He had terrific numbers this week. Kind of let in one that he wanted back against Flin Flon, and then after that, it seemed like it snapped him out of this sort of funk that he was in, and I think that made a big difference. For Notre Dame, I think again they got a couple power play goals. They got an empty netter goal there too. So the power play is really clicking well. You got some pieces like Liam Hunks, on the back end, Vinny Palmerine with his big shot, and Marko Djordjevic winning a lot of faceoffs. Things like that are working well for the special teams. I'm not ready to get too excited for Notre Dame. They're 1-5. I'm sure Cody Mapes and Jason Tatarnic and Tad Kozin are also saying, hey, let's not get excited. We're still 1 and whatever. So, there's that. And then just, it's about building off of it.
I think it's about building for all the teams.
Yeah.
Right? And, I know we want to get to Jackson Allen pretty soon. So I just have 2 quick questions kind of that encapsulate all of them. They all won, and they kind of all won against each other, with the outlier being Estevan beating Flin Flon. A really, really impressive victory. So I think already I've answered the question. Which one of these first wins is the biggest? Like feels like the biggest win that could really uplift the team.
Yeah.
Is it the Bruins?
Well, I mean, I think there's kind of two answers. I think the Bruins are the obvious answer. Jason Tatarnic brought in a whole bunch of guys already to relook their decor, especially, and I understand the goalies on the way as well. Different goalies on the way. So I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say that, but whatever. And then for the Weyburn Red Wings, they brought in all these guys. It's a bit of a reset.
Yeah.
And you just need something for that group of Jerome Maharaj and Jackson Ruthven and Ethan DK, who, by the way, is going to run this league over. Ethan DK is a dealing committee. He's very, very, very skilled player. So the Weyburn Red Wings, they just needed something to torpedo them and get some cohesion and chemistry going, and I think they'll be terrific. So probably Estevan is 1A and Weyburn's 1B.
Yeah, I was going to kind of agree with you there and just build on it, Nugsy. Like, nothing against Notre Dame's win and nothing against Nipawin's win. Super happy for those, Nipawin being that younger team we've been talking about it, those young guys getting that experience, getting that winning feeling under their belt. Must be great. For Notre Dame, again, they got some reinforcements too, Nugsy, so good for them. They got some, guys coming in as well, so good for them. But we talk about the Viterra division and how competitive that division is going to be this year.
Yeah,
and I think Estevan was maybe starting to feel the pressure a little bit early on in this season of like, okay, we got to catch up now to these guys. And you saw Weyburn adding all these players, and you've seen Yorkton, making all these, not moves necessarily. They brought in Keenan Ingram, but just making waves, and Melville's making waves. And I think Estevan might have been sitting there being like, okay, we're also in this group. We're also in this division. And I think Weyburn was maybe also starting to feel that pressure. And we talked to Cody Mapes on Insider last week. So for them to get that win, I think it just kind of says, hey, the Viterra division, they're still here.
I said don't sleep on the Estevan Bruins on Twitter, and I got chirped pretty hard, but I am sticking with it. I think Estevan will be just fine.
Give Nugsy a break, you guys.
Yeah.
So if I said which team is most likely to go on a run following their first win, would, after what both of you said, be the Weyburn Red Wings? Or would it be the Estevan Bruins?
My answer would be the Weyburn Red Wings.
Okay.
My answer would be the Weyburn Red Wings, also because I don't think Weyburn's schedule is okay.
Weyburn has also only played 1 game on the road so far throughout the first 5 or 6 games. What's best for a new team? We know that a lot of guys have gone out, a lot of guys have come in. He's brought in some ads. He's trying to fix this, fix that. What's best for a new team? It's gelling. It's camaraderie. It's going on the road. Yeah. They've only played 1 road game, so we'll see what that does.
Was it Weyburn last year who was super good on the road? Or which team am I thinking of was really, really good on the road? They had really good power play on the road or something like that. Or was it Weyburn the one that had the really good power play at home?
Like 24%, something crazy on the road. Yeah.
Tell you what, though, the Weyburn Red Wings, and we talked about it in the pre-season show, you got to tread that line, right? You can't be the Weyburn Red Wings of old, running yourself to the box and shooting yourself in the foot. And they're averaging 8.8 penalty minutes per game. That is 11th 22 minor penalties only. That is the fewest, and only 19 times shorthanded. That is the second fewest.
Jerome Maharaj and Ethan DK may be the two most unstoppable forwards in the league this year. They may be.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of talented guys. We've seen 2 games with Jerome Maharaj. We know how good he is. We've seen 1 game or 2 games with DK. We need to see him work together.
Yeah.
Right?
But
we got to see them work.
Great players. Like those guys are a caliber
for sure
above.
But again, huge shout out to Cody Mapes and company for getting that discipline that we talked about so much over the past, I'm going to say at least 2 seasons. They've really, at least at this point of the season, it seems like they've maybe turned a page on that chapter, and they're onto a different kind of looking Weyburn Red Wings. We have some odds and ends to get to, guys, just really quick here. We didn't talk about the Battlefords North Stars yet, and I know, Nugsy, you wanted to get into them a little.
Yeah, I just have some stats that they're actually leading the league in, the whole league.
What?
And yes, they've had turmoil. We'll get to, we're going to talk to Jackson Allan. I'm really interested to hear what he has to say about
he's
all
ready
this
to roll,
stuff.
so I want to get to him as soon as we can.
But listen to this, guys. Best face-off team in the league, 60%.
Pretty good.
That's
Best D-zone face-off team in the league, 61% in
amazing.
the D-zone. Between Jack Allan, Campbell, Knittig, and Kobe Anderson, their centermen are winning everything. And over 20 shot blocks per game, which is the most, and almost 5 expected goals for per game. All of those categories lead the league. So they are a team that's firing in all cylinders. Have they had the hardest schedule? They've had a lot of home games, yada, yada, yada. But given the turmoil, they've played very, very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, good to know, and there's a lot of good points there. And just a quick comment there, I think it was Charlotte Campbell, just kind of giving a shout out to Jackson Allan and Rylan Williams as well, just being great community guys. We knew that already. They were great community guys already. Yeah. Jackson Allan's been around the block a few times. He knows a few things about how to be that guy, and that's why he's the captain.
Yeah.
And Rylan Williams, solid guy as well. So we knew that. But that's great to see. We love to see that. See more of that. We want to see more of that across the league. Did you have
what I have for odds and ends? Yeah, and just a quick shout out because they deserve all the recognition as well. And I'm not sure if 100% of people agree with me because not all 100% of people probably will, and that's fine. I don't care. Officiating, I got to give a shout out. Right,
nobody cares.
Highest average PIMs per game is 20. That is wonderful, right? That is the highest in the league, PIMs per game. Very, very low when it's been compared to other years. It feels like a lot of the new refs coming in have a great grasp on the flow of the game. They're not calling ticky-tacky neutral zone penalties that are not anything to do with a scoring opportunity. Wonderful. I've seen scrums where there's pushing and shoving where they don't pull 4 guys and put them in the box and take them out of the game for 2 minutes. Wonderful. I've seen trips that have also been paired with embellishments to eliminate diving. Wonderful. Shout out to the officiating. Yep. What I've seen through 5 games has been awesome.
And I have to give that credit to the refs first, of course, but then also this Western development model that we've been touting, and a big piece of that is the fact that they've unified the rule books with the WHL and other branches, so the refs aren't thinking, is this a junior A rule? Is this a dub rule? Is this a whatever rule? So, I think that's been great and helped the refs just look a little bit better in the world and give them a little bit more leeway and make the rules make more sense so that they don't look so bad and get hammered so hard. And good for them. They're doing a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point. Thank you, Rory, for pointing that out. And shout out to all the referees and officials. Let's look at the standings here before we move on to the next part of the show here. As you can see, there's been a little bit of movement. You can still see Melville, Yorkton, Melfort at the top of the league, but Humboldt has creeped up there. Flin Flon is back into the top 5. Kindersley down a little bit after their hot start. Battlefords is finding their way up a little bit. Larange is right there battling as well. And like we said, those bottom 4 teams, they're there, but they also all got their first wins over the past 4 days. So, not out of it yet. Obviously, it's way too early to say anything about being out of anything. But it's exciting to kind of see some movement and maybe some teams moving up.
And all 4 of those teams at the bottom got reinforcements recently. You think about Ashton Tate from the Cambridge Blazers and whatnot. So
and apparently with Estevan more on the way because Newsy broke that news earlier. Oops. But didn't say any names, so no spoilers. No spoilers.
He only said the position.
Let's look at the scoring leaders now. After again mostly between 5 and 8 games, we got Caden Drury at the top, just lighting it up with Melville, and Ryan Rothke, noted member of the Money Men. That's my team, the fantasy team. Jerron Denway up there as well. Of course, he had that really hot start, and he's continuing that. And then you see guys like Keith Gruner, Ryder Ringer, Cohen Semp for Flin Flon. Like we said, those guys are going to start popping some points and getting their roles more defined. Jacob Streetsy with Humboldt had a massive week. We'll get to that later, possibly. Spoiler. And some other guys are also, we expect to be in that grouping. They're all in there. So exciting times. And speaking of Caden Drury, let's look at we got the highlight of the week now. It's a double feature. Caden Drury's in there, but also a big save by Laurent Icewolves goaltender Graham Brown. Let's have a look.
I know a vicious forecheck here from the North Stars. Great job here. Now it's Campbell, right side circle, trying to put one on through traffic, rebounds there. Oh, and they just can't tuck it home. Oh, good chance there for Brett Boucher, and just sends it over. I couldn't tell if Brown got a hold of that one.
Behind him. Two made a nice play, but Melville able to stop it up and up. Now breaking around. It's Drury, a shot and scores. Drury. What a move that was, and then roofed it top corner.
Yeah, originally it was just going to be the save by Graham Brown. Now, just a quick note on that. Graham Brown, we had to look at it 40 times to see, did he actually touch the puck?
I think it's pretty clear.
He did very much touch the puck. He got his stick on it, deflected it up over the net. Unbelievable. But that goal by Caden Drury, we had to include it. And so much so that while that clip was playing, our mics were all cut, but the crew in the back was a loud, audible whoop. And I heard it, guys. I heard it. You can't get it.
Benny Tompkins, get a little bit more excited.
Presented by Chris Berman.
Well, it was against the Mustangs.
But still, what a goal.
Yeah, that was an unbelievable goal. So we had to include that one, of course. And big shout out to Chevrolet. They are our highlight package sponsors this year. So shout out to Chevrolet and the official vehicle of the SJHL as well. Nugsy, quick nugs and notes, and then we got to run.
Can we play it?
Yeah! It's news and notes, news and notes, news and news and notes, news and
You
notes.
should hear this office most of the day. Nugsy's just blasting that throughout the office all day
Never
long.
enough. All right, quickly. The Western All-Star Showcase schedule has been announced. There it is. Great graphic, great job by Jesse up there, working hard. Love it. There
Uncle
you can
Jesse.
see a couple practices to start there Monday, a couple practices Tuesday. So 2 practices before they play it like that. And then a game, and then an early game. I think it was actually 1:30 then on Wednesday.
No, it's
but
11:30.
It isn't? Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
Kyle
so
moved it.
quick
Originally,
turn-
Commissioner Kyle put it at 1:30, and then he
okay.
moved it to 11:30 so that the Manitoba guys could get off on the road a little
quick
earlier.
turnaround there, but
Yeah.
there you go. So 2 quick games after 2 practices, and lots for the scouts to look at. So there you go. Good for that. Okay, let's move on. Golden Sheaf program. The first one of the year is coming out on Wednesday at noon. Cantera Seeds, our partners. Very special program, different than Sask Finest. Mushing them together this week. Rylan Williams of the Battlefords North Stars is the subject. So I guess we're talking to a lot of Battlefords guys lately. But Rylan is a terrific young man. Obviously, really enjoyed talking to him as well. And exciting to write an article about him because, yeah, really, really good kid. And so, yeah, that's coming out Wednesday at noon. And then just last thing, trades. Remember, go to Capital Auto, fellas. You mentioned SJHL Weekly, mentioned this program. You get $1,000 off trade-in. Very good system
$1,000
there.
bonus on trade-in.
$1,000 bonus
Depending
on
on how
trade-in.
you look at it, I
Depending
think.
on how you look at it. Sorry about that. So good
It
deal.
goes both ways.
It goes both ways. There you go. So
promotion.
two quick.
It's
It's
fantastic.
a great promotion.
Just say SJHL and you get a
That's
thousand.
why I mean,
SJHL.
we get our first name mentioned.
You got to trade it. You got to trade a
That's
car.
awesome.
You got to trade a car in.
You gotta trade a
first.
car.
You can't just
understand.
walk in and say SJHL. They give you $1,000.
That'd
That'd
crazy.
be cool though.
But anyways, two quick trades to talk about. Obviously, the big one you mentioned it there a little bit. Keenan Ingram
Yeah.
moving from Weyburn to Yorkton, as if Yorkton needed another shooter. But I guess he adds a dimension of that big shot. Maybe that's something that Yorkton lost with Anthony Domina in terms of weaponry, and so now they have a guy who has a bomb for Jaron Dunway, et cetera, to set up. And then the Notre Dame Hounds, out of Vaughan, Ontario, which is a great little place where I'm from. Also, it's not little, 340,000 people just north of Toronto. Damien Metastasio,
Yeah,
I'll
good
get
luck.
his name right at one point, I'm sure, from Grand Falls in the Maritime Hockey League, a forward. But I'm so excited. I've already been touching with him about what intersection and whatever he's from.
Is
Really
Vaughan
excited.
your legit hometown? Like, you
100%.
say
Yeah.
Vaughan?
I say Vaughan. Vaughan is the city. Thornhill is the town. He's from the town of Woodbridge, which is in Vaughan. I'm from the town of Thornhill, which is in Vaughan.
Woodbridge. They have a really good brewery there. I've had some stuff from there.
And so anyways, Damien and I have already chatted about that. Very excited to have Damien, but obviously Ingram from Weyburn to Yorkton is a big one for people who know in the SJHL. So there's a couple trades, and that was news and notes.
You guys remember Mo Vaughn, the MLB player? Oh, that guy was fun to watch. Anyways, super off topic. Jackson Allan, I think, has probably had a nap.
He's been waiting for a while.
He's been waiting for us, so we're going to hit a break. Go wake Jackson Allan, the crew in the back, go wake him up. He's probably sleeping, and we'll be right back after these commercials.
Your new truck trade-up has arrived at Capital GMC. Volume pricing is back. As inventory levels go up, prices come way down. And right now, we have over 250 brand new GMC Sierras to choose from. Lease a Crew Cab 4x4 Pro Edition for only $269 bi-weekly plus tax with $0 down. Or work with our finance experts to get the best available rates. Plus, GM certified pre-owned inventory is back too. Shop over 150 vehicles, all makes, all models. It's finally time for your new truck trade-up, only at Capital GMC.
Hey boys, we got a new guy coming out for practice today. This is Colin. Please give him a warm welcome.
Hey guys. Hey,
There's your gear. Get all suited up for practice and we'll get ready to go.
Does this go in or out?
It goes in, yeah.
Yeah, it's just the front.
Yeah, there you go.
This feels a little bit small.
It's a player chest protector.
This is a player chest protector. So clearly it's important that I got the right equipment on.
Yeah.
To do this particular job.
Yeah, no doubt. Otherwise, bad things can happen. You can get hurt.
Well, you guys are going to show me how to do this right?
Of course.
Hey, is that natural?
There you go, yeah. Looks good.
We're all stretched out. This is a lot like mentally preparing at the workplace and being physically ready. New guy, you're in. Keep your stick down, Colin.
Yeah, keep that down and deflect them away.
Good job, Colin.
Training like this, just when you start off, is super difficult, but if you keep on it, it gets easier and you get better.
The right training, the right advice, the right support, get the right equipment. Your career is going to be a whole lot longer, whether it be here or on the construction site.
As a student, things can pile up fast. Ouch. But the RBC Student Banking Bundle makes back to school easier with up to $275 in value. That's a whole pile of takeout.
Introducing SaskTel Student Saving Tips. Tip number 138. You could build your own pallet furniture.
So you're living on your own. You gotta save money by building furniture with pallets.
Or get Infinite 150 for only $50 a month with SaskTel student deals.
Original 16. Celebrate things done well.
All right, welcome back to the show. We went long on that first segment, so let's get right to it now. We're going to be joined now on the video chat by captain of the Battlefords North Stars, Jackson Allan. Jackson, did you have a nice nap during our first segment? We went a little long on that one.
No, I actually like watching the show sometimes, so it's kind of nice.
Good. Well, hopefully it was an entertaining one for you. Thanks for joining us today. First off, a couple wins over the weekend over the L'Orange Ice Wolves. Can you maybe just walk us through those wins for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I just got to give credit to the guys. Obviously, no secret stuff we've kind of been through this last little bit, but it's honestly been incredible the whole week of practice before L'Orange. I mean, the whole message was just to worry about ourselves. Let's just come to the rink every day. Let's work hard. Try not to get too distracted with things going around the town and stuff with the team. Just get our wins. And, I got to give credit for the boys. We did a really good job of that. And I think we played good on the weekend. I think we're getting better and better every weekend. And, sometimes that's hard to do when something like that happens. But I think we, a little bit of a statement, I think, with, the guys we have. I think it just goes to show the character we have. And, yeah, I'm really proud of the boys.
Such a captain, always giving credit to everybody else. And I wanted to touch on that. You've been a part of some really huge successes, Jackson, since you joined the league in Battlefords, taking lessons from guys like Stephen Kessler and Kean Bell, Holden Dole, Jake Southgate, Tynan Ewart, Tanner Gold. I could go on. That's a small fraction of the guys that you've been with over the last couple of years. But what kind of lessons have you learned from those guys over your years? And what have you brought to this group from that experience?
More like what I said, a lot of those guys, when you come to the rink as a young guy, you're staring at them all day and you're seeing exactly what they do. I remember coming to the rink and seeing Jake Southgate, what a great role model. He would, just every day happy to be at the rink, doing everything the same way, doing everything right in practice and warm up before practice, stuff like that. And worrying about himself, doing everything right in practice and doing it well. I think that's what I tried to bring every day to this group. Just, you can only do so much with a team. And if the whole team is doing the best they can do individually, that's when the whole team comes together and does really well. So it was just, I can talk about all those guys individually. I was just so lucky to get on a team like that coming into my years, making the team and then having those role models. I think it was ideal, setting me up for what I think is the best way to lead guys this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Two little questions here, Jack. First of all, could you have gotten bigger headphones?
Come on, Nugsy.
I could have probably. No, I literally could have. I was telling some guys.
I was going to ask what kind they were.
They're iPods or whatever. Or Mac, the Apple ones.
Oh, they're good.
They look nice. I'm just kidding, Jack. You know me. I like to make stupid jokes. You know that. All right, second question.
Our producer Ryan in the back.
I know we're getting chirped. I'm getting chirped in my ear too.
He's
Jack,
an audiophile, and he's like, "Okay, those are really expensive.
Nice.
Those are nice headphones.
They're very nice headphones, Jack. Okay, there you go. Let's set the record
Thank
straight.
You. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. All right, next question. Next question is kind of along the similar lines, but obviously a lot of turmoil that entered Battlefords. We don't have to get into it too much, but I want to ask you about the leadership group. Obviously, you and Jordan Grill and company have kind of seen it all. I guess, what did you guys do in terms of rallying the troops? Did you take the guys out? Did you have some meetings? What can you share with us in terms of the steps that you guys did to make sure that focus was still on the ice?
Yeah, it was just we took the guys out. We it sounds silly, but sometimes just going out and doing just small things like bowling or something. We took the guys out. We just kind of just tried to tell everybody, it doesn't change what we have to do at the rink. Okay, so our coach leaves and stuff like that, and things happen, but it doesn't change what needs to be done. And you just go out, refresh the mind, and then come back to the rink like nothing happened. It doesn't change the week that we had. We were looking forward to it. LaRanche has some really good players. We just had to, keep doing what we were doing, treat it like any other week. And I think that's what we did. Our leadership group was really good. Full credit to all our 20-year-olds, and then everybody else bought in, and which I'm super impressed with. When something like this happens, it's easy to suppose that maybe a team would maybe fault a little bit. They shouldn't drop every once in a while, but our team stuck together, and it's a credit to our guys.
I'm just curious, Jackson, on kind of what does it look like now, and what are you guys doing, from a day-to-day throughout practice? So for people that, obviously, I was getting a commercial in my ear. Sorry, it threw me off. For people that don't know, Braden Klamosko, right, goes to Humboldt in the offseason. He's a 3-time coach of the year. Gary Childerhose, who's been with Battlefords as the assistant coach forever, steps up into the head coaching role, and we all love Gary, but then obviously has to step down. And now Owen Lamb came in to be your assistant coach, but not a lot of coaching experience. And I think you guys have kind of had a different, interim guys step in for a couple games, and it's been changing. And I just want to know, through practice, What does it look like for the team? Is Owen Lamb trying to take structure? Are you guys going with what you know from the past? And how does day-to-day look with just so much change for the Battlefords North Stars? And also, to cap it, having a 3-2 record through all of that, and a testament to you guys, congratulations, it's incredible. But what are you guys doing on a day-to-day, just kind of systems and X's and O's? Where's it coming from?
Yeah, it's easy to think, or you might think that things are, out of whack, but it's really not. I have to give full credit. I should have already to Owen Lamb. He stepped into a role that he obviously had no clue that he'd ever be taking, and he's done a great job. Like the systems that we have now, they're grounded, and the team has bought into his systems so far. And obviously, we've had some guys coming in and out just to help with that type of stuff, which has been good. But Owen Lamb's been the guy that's been here every day, day in, day out, and leading the team in a good way. And he's also obviously keeping all the leadership group in the loop. And, we've kind of been just piecing it together ourselves, which I think is the right way of doing it. When something like this happens, it's always better to come closer together and get more communication and bring in more guys from the team than to be more like reserved about it on his end. So honestly, he's done an amazing job, and I couldn't see it going any better.
And I really appreciate you giving us a candid answer and bringing us into the dressing room in a situation that, we just kind of wanted to know how the Battlefords North Stars are going moving forward. And I really appreciate that. So when talking about the Battlefords North Stars moving forward, what is the identity that would, bring a smile to Jackson Allan's face? What is the Battlefords North Stars? How do you want to play throughout all 60 minutes?
Just what we've been doing. Resilient through tough times, confident in ourselves that we can do this with unprecedented circumstances, and being grounded in ourselves. Not getting overwhelmed and stuff like that. I think we've done a great job so far, and I think we're going to keep that up.
Yeah, Jack, I'd ask you, we kind of talked about this last year with Golden Chief and whatnot, but you talk about resilience and what the situation is. Obviously, your family's a big farming family there in the Davidson area. I guess just talk about, for you personally, how you've been able to kind of give some of that information as the captain now, wearing that C to your teammates in terms of, whether there's storms, whether people don't believe in you, whether your coach is not working out. Just talk about that resiliency piece that maybe you've learned from your life experiences that you've been able to communicate to your teammates.
Yeah, I think maybe have a little more experience with it, moving away from a young age and then being able to work on the farm. I think it's just I've said it a couple times the show, but I think it's literally just doing everything you can yourself and encouraging guys to do what they can themselves. There's only so much you can do influencing the whole team as a whole. You just have to play your role, and I think we've done a really, really good job of that. And it's just, I think that's just super important with keeping everybody together. And I guess if you want to make a thought experiment about it on the farm, you can only do so much in a day. So when something happens like this, it's just day by day, come to the rink, do the same thing, worry about yourself, and it's been great. It's been pretty impressive stuff.
For sure.
Our team.
Last question from me then. You promised you wouldn't clap bomb into the visitors' press box tomorrow. I'll be calling the game, obviously Notre Dame and Battlefords tomorrow, so it's always great to see Jay and Kennedy and all the people there up in Battlefords, and including Jack, though he did promise to go bar down ski. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but we'll move on from there. I got to ask you, I'm kind of curious.
Just flip one into the booth.
Just a little soft one, and I can grab it, and everybody will be like, great. That would be quite the shot, actually. It's quite far away.
Yeah.
Anyways, I got to ask you quickly about Nikita Ivashenko. Obviously, we had Artem Hrabovetsky in the league last year on Nipawin, so it's not brand new for these Ukrainian young men who, in their war-torn country, in their situation, it's terrible and difficult. That they've come over here. But just talk about Nikita, what you've seen from him, I guess as a player, as a person, how he's kind of integrated and how that's kind of all going for you guys.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect when he first showed up either. He's a great kid, first of all. He's living with one of our older guys who's been a great great influence on him, and I think it's good for the league to bring in guys like this. I think the more guys we bring in like that, it shows that this is a league that is competitive, that can bring in guys like this and do well in this league. And he's a great kid. I mean, full credit to I couldn't only imagine what I don't know much about his story. I try not to get too involved in what he might be going through, but he's happy every day. He cares so much about the game. He watches film like literally after every period, and he cares about how he does here. And he's been one of our drivers this last couple of weeks, doing really well in games. So great.
Battleford's not shy to bring in the European players. I don't know if you guys remember because it was before your times in the league, but Igor Leonenko for Battlefords back in the 2013 to 16, he was quite the player. He had 88 points one year, 47
This
goals.
is a different situation, obviously.
Different situation, just saying. But it's cool to see these guys in the league.
I should
is all I'm
say,
saying.
like, Nikita has played for the Ukrainian World Junior equivalent team, and he played in the Swedish U20 league last year. So. But yeah, kudos to him, Nikita. I hope he's doing well. I hope his family's safe and doing well too. So cool.
Jackson, you're from the Davidson area, so you are staying with a billet. And can you just tell us, is your billet a normal family? Because they really want us to think, remember, as far as anyone knows, we're a normal, nice family. Are they a normal, nice family? Can you give a shout out to your billets really quick?
Blink twice if you're
No, that's funny you bring up Igor because he actually billeted in the same place. They have a bunch of stories about him. But no, these guys, it's an amazing spot. I mean, there's no better spot in the SJ. And that's, you could ask, Holden Dole last year, shout him out a lot. Or my first year, I guess. He was here too. It's a great place. Kent and Kara, the best in the SJ, for sure.
So they didn't place you there on purpose?
No.
Okay.
Blink twice if you're safe.
Out here or anything.
He's safe.
I'm good.
He's safe.
I'm kidding.
Good
All
here.
right. Are you ready, Jackson? It is Rory's rapid fire time.
The newly sponsored Rory's Rapid Round.
Well, that's right. Rory's Rapid Round, presented by Elk Ridge Resort Community Legacy. Elk Ridge, great place. Ask me to the SJHL. What's his title? SJHL.
Jacobs?
Yeah.
Director of Marketing?
Director of Marketing. That's it. I was going to say community ambassador, but then I was getting confused with other things.
Everybody's buddy.
Yeah, big supporter of Elk Ridge. All right, I got some rapid fire questions for you, Jackson. You've been into all the SJHL rinks for 3 years now. Which team has the best warm-up jams that also get the North Stars going?
Oh, this might actually get me in trouble, but I like Kindersley, even though they're our rivals. But they have good music.
That doesn't shock me at all, and it's so loud and good music. They're not afraid to crank the volume to 11.
Because you know who's in charge of it.
Yeah, I thought it would be Kindersley as well.
Kyle Adamson's in charge of it.
Kyle Adamson.
Your father's obviously Chad Allan. He won 2 gold medals during World Junior tournaments. Where does he keep his gold medals?
They're actually downstairs and displayed finally. It took about 30 years to get them displayed, but they are now. So that's good.
Owen Lamb is your coach, as you mentioned, has done a fantastic job. He's also a 30-goal scorer in the SJHL. Does he ever take time to show off about his goal-scoring ability during practice?
He is pretty humble. I haven't seen a thing from him yet. Maybe I should bug him about that, actually.
Your dad's won some gold medals. You've won an SJHL championship. Is there one thing that you kind of cherish from that championship team that you've taken, whether it's, a piece of your locker or even just like your jersey, which I'm assuming you have, but maybe something a little different that we wouldn't know that you have from that championship year?
That's a good one. The only thing I can really think of is actually in Centennial Cup.
He took Holden's billets from that year.
Right away.
It went well for Holden. So.
Yeah, it did. I took a name tag from Centennial Cup.
Okay.
So that's pretty nice to have.
Okay, I got a trivia question here for you. We said we were going to spice it in. During that championship run, during the championship winning game, who scored the last goal of the game?
Oh, no.
It wasn't you.
Oh, man. I hope it wasn't me. That would be even worse. I do not remember.
If I tell you it was an empty net, if I tell you it was an empty net goal, does that help?
You know what? I'm going to give it a good guess with the Keane Bell.
It was Keane Bell. Yeah.
He scored about 500 goals.
Yeah, safe guess. So. I was going to actually follow it up with, do you know who scored the last non-empty net goal? And I feel like I should ask this question knowing where you live.
Ooh.
It was Holden Dole, probably.
It was Holden Dole. You're right. Okay.
I should remember. Jeez.
And I know you are the captain. That's okay, though. That's why the trivia question is rapid fire. I got to put you on the spot. I'm going to ask you this question because you are the captain. Battlefords North Stars, you guys lost 325 combined points from last season. It was the most out of the top 5 scorers of any SJHL team. As the captain, who's one player that you look at on the roster that's going to blow the roof off, that's going to make that giant next step and help chip into that massive loss of points?
I'm actually going to say 3 guys, I think, because I really, really am blown away by the work they put in this summer. I think Getzlaff has had an amazing start. I think Neebs has had an amazing start. Niedermeyer, who they're playing together and have been great. And I think Willie and my line mate EA will fill in those roles greatly. Everybody had an amazing summertime. They're coming back, doing really, really well.
Yeah, one of our biggest whiffs on the SJHL fantasy pool was probably at the end of the year will be Ryland Williams. I know he's upset that he wasn't picked.
I was giving him the gear for that for sure.
Okay, well, I mean, the production crew drafted you. Are you okay with that? Are you excited to be drafted by people that aren't even on camera?
Rory's throwing shots, and that's not safe.
Can we cut his mic?
You're okay with that?
Yeah, I'm completely okay with that. I'm happy to represent them.
I will say they're probably in first place right now too, so it's all right. But yeah.
You're good?
I'm good.
You're all
That's
done?
it. Yeah.
Jackson, thank you so much for your time today. You're back on the ice tomorrow, and you have a busy weekend, so we'll let you get going, and good luck the rest of the way.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
All right, that was captain of the Battlefords North Stars, Jackson Allan. Guys, what a great chat that was. You can tell why he's a captain. I think that's obvious.
He's a grown-up. Just a grown-up.
Yeah.
I will tell you what,
and he has great headphones.
The North Stars, 325 points lost, right?
Yeah.
And what they're going through, having just, the uncertainty, the coaching, Owen Lamb, a rookie coach stepping in. Basically, the players need to really buy in, a new captain. It's a dangerous mix for a team to be extremely successul, heart-wise and team-wise, if they're able to get it going, right? I mean, I'm not saying able to get it going like they're not, but if they can find a groove, right, and be a team in the playoffs, would you want to face a team that's gone through all this together? Absolutely not. That's a dangerous mix.
A little early adversity.
Yes.
Well, you shouted him out early, Rory, in our preview show. But Gavin Granger and Lincoln Fisher together have been wonderful on the back end. That Battlefords back end is as underrated as any back end in the SJHL as well. So big fan of those guys. Yep.
And we have so much more to get into, but we do need to take one more break. So we're going to take a break. After the break, we're going to do Players of the Week. We have a fun little game called Is This Sustainable that we're going to be playing. We have a schedule ahead to look to, so we got lots to get to. So we're going to have a break. We'll see you after the commercials.
The Chevrolet Silverado 1500. Advanced power and capability to tackle the long hauls. Style to make a statement on the streets. Visit ChevroletOffers.ca to learn more.
When you buy a lottery ticket in Saskatchewan, your money really goes a long way. More than 12,000 sport, culture, and recreation groups receive funding from Sask Lotteries every year. Everyone wins.
Thanks for helping me out and trying to protect me today. It's the kind of thing that, somebody comes out who's not ready, not prepared, and put into an awkward situation without somebody taking leadership and saying, hey, I'm going to protect you. It's going to shorten people's careers, and that's a big reason why we exist, and what drives us to do what we do.
They know how important their role is in the community, being a good leader, showing kids that there is a right and a wrong way to do things, and leading the right way, being a positive role model to not just kids in the community, but anybody in the community.
Coach said a lot of great things that are really consistent with the values that we have at the SCSA, and respect for those around us, respect for those that we work side by side with, leadership, and Part of that is being innovative and collaborative and solving problems together. Really, the last one that you touched on was integrity. Doing what's right and doing it the right way. And those things just yield incredible results, not just in terms of making things safe, but really being productive and striving, whether it be in a game or in your life or in your business.
I think absolutely we try and fill the roles of all those values and just try to be the best people we can, really, not only for ourselves, but for our teammates and for the community around us.
Had a lot of fun today. Thanks, guys.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
My name is Kyle McIntyre, and I'm the commissioner of the SJHL. We have 12 teams spread out all over this amazing province. 12 teams that hit the road for combined 324 season games. We take hockey players, we make them better. We make them better at hockey and better at life. That's what the SJHL is all about. We have a great league, we have great teams, great ownership, the best fans, the best partners, and the best sponsors.
Introducing SaskTel Student Saving Tips. Tip number 236. You could dye your own hair. Or you could save up to $20 a month on a new wireless plan with SaskTel Student Deals.
Original 16. Celebrate things done well.
All right, welcome back to our final segment of SJHL Weekly. It's been a great show. We had a great chat with Jackson Allan. If you missed it, make sure you go back and watch that. That was a really good one. But we got to get to the players of the week now. They have been posted online, so there might be some people who already know who these guys are. But that's okay. Let's get into it now. Let's start. There it is. Yes, I forgot that had music to it. That scared me.
That's so beautiful.
And props to the guy in the back. I know I just laid out to them that they're not on camera. But
yeah, they hate you.
I had about, I'd say at least 7 people, like the day after the show when I got back to Humboldt, be like, that opening of the pack and whatnot, and the producing of the show, oh God, it's amazing.
Let's play it one more time.
Yeah. So, good job.
There we go.
Players of the week.
They love that one. They love Newsies. They love mine.
Yeah, the Rory's Rapid Round with the Elk Ridge branding is pretty solid.
They're pros out here.
Let's play it one more time. Players of the week.
3 times.
I just wanted to test them.
You guys are all right on it back there.
They're doing great. Okay, let's get to it.
We're only
wasting
11
time.
minutes over the show.
Yeah, we got to go. SGU MVP of the week. This guy made an immediate impact upon his return to the Weyburn Red Wings, Jerome Maharaj Nugsy. Big week from him.
Yeah, there's no more fun player in the SJHL right now to watch, period, to me, than Jerome Maharaj. It's my opinion. 5 assists, instant impact, and they get their first win. There you go.
If he was on someone else's fantasy team, would you have the same opinion?
We'll never know.
I guess we'll never know. Now, there were other guys with 5 points, but he only did it in 2 games. The other guys did it in like 3 or 4 games. So he just had a great return to the Weyburn Red Wings, and I'm sure Cody Mapes and company are pretty pumped that he's there. Borgo forward of the week. He led this week in goals. It's Jacob Streetsy with the Humboldt Broncos. Rory, you saw him firsthand. How did he do?
Yeah, I call him the red zone quarterback. When things tighten up, when things get less room to make moves, he excels. He's great in the red zone. 4 goals.
There you go. Super U defenseman of the week as we move on. He also made his return to the league this week, and he had an immediate impact as well. Vinny Palmerine with the flow, by the way, Nugsy. How did he do this week?
Yeah, and I mean, you see his points impact. It's not even just his points impact. Physically, just outmuscled every single Flin Flon or Nipawin player that he went up against. He's 6'2", 205, can fly, huge shot, grown-up person, unbelievable. So happy to have him back, and yeah, it's fun to watch.
There you go.
Vinny Palmering, grown-up person.
Grown-up
Grown
person.
up. He's an adult. He's a
Hashtag
big boy.
grown-up person.
Yeah.
Sastel goalie of the week. We mentioned the Flin Flon Bombers. Massimo Urbani had a great couple of games. Rory, how did Massimo Urbani do this?
Yeah, look at the save percentage, 940. He did amazing. And when you get an unknown goaltender to, I mean, not unknown, but to SJHL likes, and then he steps in a time where maybe one that was thought to be the bona fide starter struggles out of the gate. It's wonderful. So 940 and congrats to Urbani.
Yeah, absolutely. The
Also, he was my
IKS
best
Media Rookie of the Week, Jackson Herchak. Rory, I'm going to come right back to you because you saw him a couple times here recently.
I saw him,
Jackson Herchak.
Yeah,
you saw him. Yeah,
he's exceptional. Already an NCAA Div 1 commitment to Colorado College. I was so impressed with not only his vision and his offense ability and his skill, which we know he has, but his strength. And he's not the biggest of dudes, but Broncos that tried to hit him were just bouncing off of him. And he's a young kid that already has that lower body and physicality strength. He'll never be the biggest of the bunch, but he's solid on his skates. And that's what really stood out to me.
And he's off to a great start, and we're going to talk about that in our next segment, by the way. And spoiler teaser. Finally, Cantera seeds Saskatchewan Player of the Week, and it's Gavin Granger from the Battlefords North Stars. Nugsy.
Yeah, great. He's really found chemistry with Lincoln Fisher, which I mentioned. He's a guy that'll chip in. I think he's more, D-zone first than anything. But, pass it to the right guy. The puck goes in. Good things happen. Does everything right. Was a part of a championship with the Saskatoon Blazers as well. Went on a Telus Cup run. Guy knows what it takes to win, and he's getting a big opportunity this year. So kudos to him, finding a way there.
There we go. That's the Players of the Week for this week. Make sure you check out sjhl.ca for the article. You can check out a little bit more information on each guy there. Let's get to our next segment. We don't have a cool animation for this one, but it would be really cool if we did have like a judge slamming a gavel down or something. This is going to be called Is This Sustainable? And basically it's going to be, I'm going to read a stat that is kind of over the top as of right now, or maybe not, it's all over the top. And is this sustainable, or are you going to object? I object. Sustained or object. That's the idea. That's where we got the idea. The first one is there are 3 teams currently with 90% penalty kills, which is a very high number, the 90% part.
Yeah.
There's a couple teams with high 80s, but there's only 3 above 90. Do you think that's sustainable, guys? That there'll be 3 above 90?
Whichever means that there won't be 3.
I object.
I object.
Jim, whichever one means. I object. Power plays take time to get connected.
You don't watch any true crime stuff with court cases?
It's too much for my head.
If you don't like it, say I object.
I object.
Okay. Rory?
Coaching in this league is so good, right? And a lot of really well defensive special team specialists. 2 years ago, there's 2 teams over 90 and 1 team at 87. Could that 87 be ticked up 3%? I'm going to say sustained.
There's too many goals.
I'm going to go
I think
sustained.
you're wrong.
Rory's here for the fun.
Yeah.
6 goalies right now have a 930 save percentage. Now, Rory, your original earlier in the preview show was you didn't think there was going to be 6 with a 910 save percentage. There's 6 with a 930.
Well, I'm going to continue with that. I object, Your Honor.
This is a fun game. I like this.
I don't think it's sustainable.
Once I figure out the rules.
I completely object.
I agree with Rory. I object. There's no way. That's ridiculous.
That's really good starts though for goalies, but
good for that.
But I object.
Yeah. Caden Drury right now is a 2.33 points per game average. Sustainable?
Go ahead, dude.
2.33. No, that's not sustainable. He's been
That'd
great.
be like 130,
He's gonna stay up.
40 point pace
it's
or
not
something like that.
There's no way that's sustainable.
130?
I object. I object.
120-ish?
120 is possible.
It's done. It's been done.
It's not happening.
Rory, you gonna have fun with this one?
in Doug Johnson's system, especially, no disrespect.
I tell you what,
Caden
Jury, if you were floating around 2.01, I would sustain it. But I object.
There you go. Love it. Okay, we talked about him a minute ago. Jackson Herchak. Will he lead the Kinders of the Clippers in points? Because he currently does. Nugsy.
I'm going to sustain this. I think sustainable. 8 points in 5 games. I'm going to sustain it.
I think he's off to a great start. Really happy to see it. Will he have a great numbers? Yes, but they'll find some forwards either in the roster now or somebody else.
But who's going to be passing the puck to these forwards on a lot of these occasions?
Yeah.
It'll be Jackson Herchak, right?
He's still in 07. We talk every year about how it's a long season. You're going to go through a grind. You're going to go through a little spell. He's a great player. He's going to have a great year. I'm really happy he's in our league. No.
I feel that with the
object.
I feel like with the lack of validity on your I object.
I object! Kaboom!
There we go.
It's like Rory used to.
This game we're bringing this game back.
Rory used to chirp my interviewing ability with the Notre Dame Hounds videos when I would like almost hit the guys in the head with
the mic in the people's face. Like, how do you think that game went there? It's like it's a microphone, dude. So you don't have to jab it into their teeth.
We're having way too
Trying to
much
be
fun.
physical.
Last one, the Flin Flon Bombers. Rory, you kind of mentioned it earlier. They are 11th in the league in goals against right now. They have the -2 goal differential. Will the Flin Flon Bombers sustain a negative goal differential?
I object.
Yeah.
I strongly object. It's -2 right now. Even if their goaltending was bottom half of the SJHL, I feel that the way the metrics are pointing towards their offense, they're outshooting their opponents by 122 already through 8 games, which is an absurd pace. They're going to be outshooting them by like 1,200 at the end of the year. That if the shooting percentage does increase, they're going to outscore, even if there is a little bit of defensive, insecurity there. I think they'll be a plus team. I object.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like, there's no way that like that's gonna be the case. So yeah,
Say it like you
I
mean it,
object
Lindsay.
like big time. Like this is not even. I don't even understand why this is an option. Honestly, no disrespect to who created the category, but
I think he objects.
I object big time.
I think he objects.
As big as I can possibly object.
And that was, is this sustainable? It's like my new favorite game. So we're gonna bring
Clark
that back.
loves it. Let's get a graphic. Let's go.
Let's have a look at the schedule. There's actually 5 midweek games this week, so let's have a look. Tuesday, there's 3. Weyburn is at Melville for a Viterra Division battle. Larange is at Nipawin, which should be a great one between a couple teams who need a win after a rough weekend. Well, I guess Nipawin got their first win. I shouldn't say that. Larange is looking for a bounce back. And Battlefords is hosting the Notre Dame Hounds, so Nugsy will be there tomorrow. And on Wednesday, we have Estevan in Humboldt, so Rory's back in action. It seems like you're never getting a break. I thought you were going to get a little bit, but you don't.
6 games, 9 days.
6 games in 9 days. And then Notre Dame continues their trip as they head to Kindersley for that western swing for the Hounds. So, guys, is there a game this week that you're looking forward to?
I'm following the Estevan Bruins because of the start. We knew there was such turnover. We knew they went younger, but they did struggle more than I anticipated they would. They are going on a Nutrien Division little swing here. They got Humboldt on Wednesday. They got Kindersley on Friday. 2 teams that we, had at one point in the confused identity. One kind of muscled their way out of there, but they could fall back in. Estevan trying to go on that upswing and string some wins together to get, back into the 8th place kind of room. So I'm looking at the Bruins. I'm really interested to see how they are on Wednesday, and then if they can continue that on Friday in Kindersley.
There's 2 for me, Melville and Weyburn. Weyburn, are you good or not? We'll find out pretty quickly here with all these new guys in. And then, of course, another rematch of the championship. Melfort heads up to the Whitney Forum again on Friday.
On a Super Friday, by the way.
Is it Super Friday?
All 6, there's all 12 teams are playing on Friday night.
So that'll be very interesting.
Yeah, that'll be a good one. There will be some good games and a lot of action this weekend with a Super Friday, like I said, and a 5-game Saturday as well. So there's tons of stuff going on, guys. Big shout out to Rory and Nugsy for the show today. The boys in the back, even though they're not on camera, they're all superstars. Rory?
Of course they are. I'm allowed to take shots at them.
Sure.
They're fantastic. The best crew in the world.
They are. Yeah. Quick shout out to all of our social media channels. Make sure you give us a follow on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. And if you want to check out all the action, if you can't make it to the rink, get your Flow Hockey subscription, and you can watch all the action there. There's some great broadcasts across the league, so make sure you're tuning in. Also, our sponsors, one more time, we got to give a big thank you to Cantera Seeds, Borogo, Capital Auto Mall, which again, Capital Auto Mall, if you mention the SJHL, you get just $1,000. They just hand you $1,000. That's not true. Don't sue me. You get $1,000 bonus on your trade-in.
Right.
You have to trade a car in. First.
It's still a fantastic.
Still pretty great though. SGEU, Sask Lotteries, UPL for sponsoring our broadcast, as you can see at the front of our beautiful desk. Chevrolet, an official vehicle sponsor of the SJHL. Great Western, Nutrien, RBC, and Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association. This week's going to be a little weird because I'm leaving on a jet plane and I don't know when I'll be back again. Actually, I do know when I'll be back. It'll be the 21st. Thank you.
I appreciate that one.
I'm going to California, going to live the life. sipping on tequila. I'm not going to sip on tequila night after night. I'm going there for a thing. I'm going there for
Did you
baseball
pre-think
trip.
of all these?
I'm
reference?
just quick thinking.
That's good.
Yeah, quick thinking on this one. But I am going to California for 9 days for a baseball trip. I'm helping a buddy of mine coach a baseball team down there. So really excited for me, but that means that I probably won't be here for Insider on Thursday. So that'll change. And then next week, these guys are going to have an adjusted schedule. There is a holiday on Monday next week. So SJHL Weekly will be on Wednesday next week, at least as of right now.
Yeah.
So stay tuned in case that changes. But it's probably going to be Wednesday, and there probably won't be an Insider episode unless Nugsy does a special interview or something, because you're prone to do that.
Prone.
Prone to do that.
Prone.
So there might be a special episode of Insider next week, but there will be one bigger episode of Weekly next week with these two guys, not me. And then we'll be back to regular scheduling the week after that.
And happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Happy
of course,
Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Right? All about family, all about getting together, all about some good meals. Be safe out there. Enjoy your loved ones, and happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Nugsy, any last words before we go?
Go Vikings.
There you go. Go Vikes. Kirk Cousins is looking mighty good in black and red, and that's okay with me. I'm a Falcons fan myself. So
my team sucks.
And until next week, we'll see you again. Get out to the rinks. Get out to the rinks. We'll see you at the rinks. And enjoy the hockey, everyone.